For those of you who don't know me, my name's Aneesh. I founded Centelli. I love the tech, quite a bit of a techie at heart, do enjoy it, but do like it when we apply it to real world problems and make a difference. I'm going to do a few things now. I'm conscious some of you guys are new to automation as a concept or might not have seen it working. We've got some customers in here who've seen it, so you guys can take 2 minutes out while I show a video of what RPA, what automation actually does. So this is Sage, and in this example, there's an invoice that's going out, but new customers being created. And everything you're going to see on the screen is actually being done by an automation. So this is not a person sitting at a screen, but we can still see applications moving, stuff happening, just like a person's doing it. And what the digital worker is doing in this case is it's accessing the screen, it's using the keyboard and the mouse to interact with these systems. So we can work with effectively any system and we're not constrained by it. What you didn't see at the beginning, which is also relevant, is where did this information come from? So the information could have come from an email or an Excel file or a shared folder, doesn't matter, but it's accessed that without needing to open it up because it has something called an API, a point that it can go to and say, give me this information available to it. So picked it up, gone in, created a customer, creating an invoice now. And we can either pick information, we can put rules in, it doesn't matter how complex it is. We've got some processes that are about 350 different steps that happen within it, can all be done. So it'll pick up this number, and with this number, we can again decide what we want to do because no process is really working in isolation. Every process then eventually feeds another process somewhere. So in this case, when it's picked it up, it's created the invoice, it's now got to go post it, so it needed the number. And once it's posted, it could send off an email saying I've posted this, or it could put it into a tracking sheet that this activity has been done. This is an example of one, but this it could do 24/7. Business grows, we need another one. Within a day, we can have another one added, and you've now got double the capacity available straight away. So the capability of automation and what automation can do is absolutely phenomenal. The challenge has always been that we just can't write rules for everything, and this is where the world is moving to, that how do we address some of these things which are not rules-based. And Andra was talking about Agentic. I'm going to now show you a demo of Agentic in action for hotels. And this is an example of a reservation agent. So in this case, the flow is quite simple. Picks up an email, could be triggered on the back of an email. So in this case, we're just picking it up because for a demo, it's a little easier. There's first an agent that's trying to pick up intent. And we've structured this in a particular way because if you look at the job of a res agent, it's actually quite complicated. There are multiple scenarios they're trying to deal with. And what we're trying to do is we want to build incrementally. We don't want to spend 6 months trying to figure out a process and then do something because that just takes too long. Even with the automations, what we're doing is we're building small bits and we can expand what we do with it quite comfortably. So we've structured in a way where we have intent. What we want the first agent to do is saying, figure out, in this case, we're only handling 3 scenarios. Anything else, send it off to a person for now. Once we add the 4th scenario in, we can add that in as well quite easily. Then it goes off, creates a reservation. It can go off, get details of a reservation, cancel. Then it goes off to an email agent that takes input from different places, and this email agent is just specialized on drafting emails. It has the tone of voice we want, it has the styling we want. For brands, we could have it differentiate between certain hotels. If you have a hotel that's more luxury, you want that to have a very different formal style, but you've got another hotel that's a little bit more relaxed and casual, and you want that to have a playful one. The agent can customize that tone of voice. So we can provide it that input. And then at the end, it goes off and sends an email, or it can create an escalation. An agent itself is quite easy to define. So when we're trying to define an agent, we're trying to define all the parameters that we want this agent to work under. This is kind of the base knowledge we want to set. So we've given it a few examples. And then we say when we want to actually interact with it, take the content of the email and do this. All quite straightforward till now. Where it gets really exciting is what capabilities do we give this agent? What do we want this agent to be able to do? What tools will it need to be able to say, handle this? In this case, we've given it a tool called Create Reservation. This Create Reservation is an automation on Opera. So when it comes in, it actually will go to Opera in the background, create a reservation, get all those details back in, and then process it further. What we're doing next is we're going to add availability checks into this. We're going to add in status checks into it. We're going to add duplicate checks into it so we can build all those checks in as additional tools that are available to this agent. So really this is using those capabilities, and Gavin, when we were chatting, that's actually an OHIP call happening in the background, and the agent is determining what it needs to be doing. So if we take this example, let's run one. So I've put up a very simple email. It doesn't matter what the email format is or how I type it. I'm traveling to London with my wife and would like to book a hotel for 2 rooms from a certain date. So if I send this email off, I've got the email available. We'll now run the agent. And like Andrea was showing, you can actually track it in real time what it's doing. So it's now gotten the email, it's figuring out the intent. In reality, this will work in the background. We don't need to monitor it like on the screen, but every single run is still being tracked. So we can go back and say what happened at this particular time, and we have full control over it. It's determined it needs to create a reservation. And if I go into details of it, I can actually see what it's doing, what information it's picked up. It's picked up my name from the email. It's picked up the date, how many nights. So it said coming on the 15th of November, out on the 17th. The reservation's been created. It's now determining whether there was an issue and an escalation is needed or a human needs to be involved. And no escalation needed, email sent. And if I go back, I should get an email that says, reservation confirmed, confirmation number, how we want that detail to be structured. In this case, we've done it formally, so there's a more of a structure. But we could have easily put it into text. We said make it a bit lighter, make it whichever way we want to do it. We could give it some examples and saying use that as an input. And that reservation number is an actual PMS. It could be PMS in the background. We could be doing finance invoices. Doesn't matter. We can connect over APIs, but these can also be automations that run to go to the system and fetch back results as well. So if an API is not available, which is something we hit quite often, they're not available because the capability doesn't exist, or they're not available because there's a big build that the vendor wants. We can then go through the screen and access that information. Okay. Now, you know what? I've changed my mind, so I want to cancel this. Not interested anymore, and plans have changed. So let's just send another email. We have a cancellation. We'll rerun this. And now let's look at what happens with the flow. So similar, gets an email, picks up the intent. Now it's deciding which way it should go. And it's gone to cancel reservation, which is now going into the PMS, making whatever it needs to do, and sending it back. Additional checks to put here, is the cancellation policy being adhered to? Do we need to go back and process a refund? If it's an advance payment booking, well, yes, we've canceled it, but you can't be given there's no refund to be issued. All of that can be very easily added in. So done, cancellation done, no escalation needed. We need an email. So I've now got a confirmation that says it's been canceled, and I have a cancellation reference in there as well. Let's try what happens if I now try canceling the same booking again. Okay. So in this case, what's going to happen is I've tried canceling it again. The agent doesn't know yet that it's a canceled booking. We can add it in, but I'm going to rely actually on the PMS telling me it's canceled. So when it goes tries canceling the booking, the PMS is going to throw an error, and that error is what we're telling the agent to handle. Okay, so it's still going to try doing a cancellation. Goes back to the email agent. In this case, it's now gone to an escalation, and this escalation is creating a task for a human to do. So the email I've received is, it's already in cancel status, and the reservation cannot be canceled. And if I go into my actions and what needs to be done, I'll have a new action that was created 34 seconds ago. The screen of what an action needs to be is going to vary depending on the scenario. So in this case, we've kept it quite simple where it just dumps the email and what was needed. But we can customize this. For example, if you're processing an invoice, we maybe want to show the invoice that it couldn't handle and get the person to validate the invoice. And once that's done, the automation carries on. It goes back to the agent to carry on. So we're trying to limit where humans come into just the bit that humans really need to be doing.
Can I ask a question, please? So when you're showing here what actually you've already implemented with a hotel chain as an example, does it have the ability to come back with options in the bit before? So you went in and said, I want to stay in London, but could it come back with 5 options of London? Then I'll say, I'll select this one, and then it will go through all of what you've just shown us.
Yeah, so we could have built a response to say when you're trying to create a booking, it's actually in there, we haven't tested it yet, but certain information is mandatory. What happens if I don't provide a date? Well, it's not going to be able to make a booking, in which case it'll go back and saying, what date would you like to do? Here are the properties you can pick if they haven't specified a property with some information as well. The agents do take in context. So we've attached a reservation policy that it's trying to adhere to, but we can also attach in hotel information in here as well. So we can just say, here's all the knowledge you need, and then whenever you're making a response, stick to that base. Yes?
First of all, thank you for sharing that. Very exciting to see. A few questions around, a lot of the decision making is a yes or no binary answer here. So what are the parts that are actually ambiguous? Is it that if you request a hotel stay and you're not clear enough, because it's Agentic, and then reply to you and say, I need to know how many nights? Is that the intelligent part?
Yes.
Or is that the tone of voice can actually change? So if they look you up, Aneesh, they'll say, oh, Aneesh seemed, based on online searches, he's someone that would need more detail, less detail. Where's the kind of, I guess, unstructured, ambiguous part of this process?
So first of all, the way the input comes in is ambiguous because it's going to be depending upon whoever has sent it in and however they've decided to type it. The ones which we knew about, for example, an OTA sending an email in, those are always structured and we just handle that through automation. So it's handling that ambiguity of how have I requested the information, what have I requested for, have I provided all the information that I need or not. Second is, let's say now I've asked for it. I might have a loyalty system to determine that treat Aneesh as special because his tier level is platinum. We could add that in. What it won't figure out is, it can figure out if, let's say, we are tracking website visits and seeing how many times you come to the website, we could expose that as a tool and saying, go to your Google Analytics, see how many times Aneesh has come to our website. And if he's come multiple times, actually give him a 10% higher rate because he's been considering us for some time. So it depends on what tools we give it and what systems we wanted to link to and what information we wanted to pull back from there. And the entire thing is just provided as simple input here. So as we're adding this additional information, we're just adding to that prompt, as it's called in this world. And we're going to keep enhancing this over time as we learn and get more feedback from it actually working. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, on your cancellation, you add your reservation number. What happened? Majority of people will probably won't add it. Will it work the same?
Yep. So the fetch reservation that we had in there, the fetch reservation is first it'll check on confirmation number, then it checks on travel agent record locator, then it starts checking on name, then it starts with name, you have to have the date in as well. We can add email in. So that's all quite easy. It's easier if we're going through OHIP because it's faster, but we're doing similar stuff over UI as well for some customers where APIs don't exist. That's the next scenario because nobody's actually going to provide us a confirmation number. Emma?
How does the tool determine if somebody's booking for themselves or somebody else? Because the majority of the times there's going to be an EA, a PA, or somebody.
So two scenarios. One, I'm booking for someone else, in which case I'll specify the name. So we could have specified the name where I said, I would like to book. Instead of that, I could have provided a name. It actually does pick up that name. Okay. The second scenario is, let's say now in this case, I'm making a booking, not a problem. But let's say I'm asking for an invoice. If I'm asking for an invoice for a stay, we've got to have certain guardrails to say, I just can't send and saying, I know Ollie stayed there and I want to track him. Can you send me Ollie's invoice? So I've got to have some guardrails that say, only send it if the sender is the same person who's made a booking, or they're from the same domain, or they're whitelisted. So there has to be some safety we build in, and that's where the whole guardrails feature comes in.
Checking back to the payment side, is this then lead on to a payment confirmation?
It can be. So we could add a tool in that says create a pay by link and send the link as a part of that response. If you want to check, so for a customer with automation, we're checking whether a payment has been made, and if it doesn't get made in 24 hours, send a reminder, and if it doesn't get made in 48 hours, cancel the booking and send a cancellation back. So yes, all those tools can be quite easily added in. Anything else? No? Now, if you're bringing in a res agent, how long would you take a res agent to train up on your processes? Probably a few weeks to months, and you'll have some senior res agents who know the business well and some junior ones who are still trying to figure out and go ask questions. How long did you think this took us?
2 days.
I knew I shouldn't have invited you. This took us 2 days to do. It literally took us 2 days. We were a bit faster because we understand the Opera side, so that was just a plug and play plug and play bit for us. But defining the agent, what the agent needs to do, what parameters we wanted to work under, we are just defining it as plain English. So it's things that you can maintain eventually as well. So it's extremely fast to get in. It's extremely fast to iterate over. So we don't want to get to a position where we're saying we can handle all scenarios. Let's just handle one scenario for now and keep growing it slowly and slowly.
Sorry, you mentioned Opera twice. Do you work with other systems or only Opera?
Yeah. We've got, I think we work with, it's 7 or 8 that I can name off the top of my head, but Opera just seems to be the one that everybody's heard of. But we got, just on the PMI side, there's Stay in Touch, Guest Line. I'm probably forgetting a few others, but Muse, OnQ. I wasn't supposed to mention OnQ. Okay. But very exciting, very quick.
Can the same automation be applied to group reservations?
So the next thing.
Go ahead.
Where we started with this was, we started this actually the M&E side is partly where a larger side of the pain lies. So what we've been doing on M&E is, the challenge with the inboxes on M&E is a lot of emails coming in, a lot of inquiries coming in, and we're working with a tool that is not designed for sales. It's designed to handle emails. So a tool that sorts either by sender or by time. So you've come in on a Monday, 50 inquiries received, more than 50 received over the weekend. What's going to happen to all the others? They're going to sit on a screen below. So how do you figure out where your high value opportunities lie? So we've actually been working since July last year on creating a specialized AI model that just handles M&E emails. And what it's doing on M&E is it's reading every single email. It's trying to understand what the email is, and it's categorizing that email into urgency. How quick do you need a response? Trying to ascertain some level of size on it and saying, is this an inquiry for 50? Is this an inquiry for 5? Trying to get some level of what is that type of inquiry. So when we started working with a customer, they actually had some rules to say, we know that these types of inquiries are the ones we win. We don't want to handle the other ones straight away. So we're prioritizing it and moving it up. Where we're going to go to next with Agentic is taking those, doing an availability check. If it's not available, respond straight away saying, sorry, not available. Here's what's available. Here are some other properties that you could consider as well. So just get that speed of response back into M&E. Okay, and it, in true style, it just sits over all your other applications. So with one customer, we started taking those M&E inquiries and start pushing it into their tracking system as well, because they want to say that, well, a lot of our team is spending just putting it into the system. And that's not really helping you win business, but that's something you have to do it within the business to keep things going. So take the email, push it in, do an availability check, high value, flag it, availability not there, send off a rejection straight away. Okay, so that's already in flight. We've been working on it. There's a lot of detail that's gone in, but I think the key part that we've done is we've got this thing called a fine-tuned AI model that just handles M&E in sales inquiries, and it's tailored just to do that. We've done over thousands of emails, and it's, we can just plug and play that. Okay. Where we're going to go to next with this is we've already started working on tackling rooming lists. So that's the next bit that's going to happen on M&E, that start taking the rooming list and putting it in. Initially, we're going to focus on the entry part because that's where the biggest effort lies. But with the rooming list, we also have to tackle the changes as well. Okay. Any other? I'm around. Sorry.
I think hospitality is a business of exceptions a lot of the time, and some of the things you're talking about now, where does that expertise come from in terms of revenue management, the type of background information that you require to answer some of the detailed exceptions that exist in M&E, for example?
You're the expert at hotels. We do the automation. So what we're doing here is we're trying to learn from you. We've got people who will become a part of your business. But what needs to happen in your business does come from you. How we then convert it into a solution that works is on us. So the expertise lies with you for hotels. The automation expertise is with us. How we do it, we've got actually quite a few customers later as well. I would suggest have a chat with them as to how they felt the journey of converting and taking that expertise lies. We have reached a stage where when we've tackled quite a few processes, so Sam mentioned 115, where when somebody says something, we can accelerate. Like today, if somebody comes to us and says, I've got this OTA and I need to put that into my PMS, we say, okay, can you just tell us these 3 pieces of information, which takes 10 minutes. But what those rate codes need to be and how you do your room mapping and what rooms you have and what promotions you're running, that's all with you.